You might remember here that your boy had a scoop from Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, when he came to speak here in Greenville about the SEC women's basketball tournament. And the scoop was at the time last November that the SEC was strongly looking at doing away with divisions once Texas and Oklahoma joined the league. And I tweeted it. It went viral. Fox Sports picked it up.
You mean they wouldn't let Texas call theirs the Longhorn division based on sheer hubris?
Diesel, that would be a step up from the Big Ten's legends and leaders.
Awful.
Back in the day.
Awful.
Right? A step up from that.
It's almost as bad as Atlantic and Coastal when your entire conference is on the Atlantic coast.
It's almost as bad as this, Diesel. I came out with that. Obviously, it wouldn't go viral if this was something people knew, right? And I come out with it, and then I get angry messages from executives at the SEC saying this is not news. This is already known. These are executives at the SEC messaging me.
Well, I didn't know.
Obviously not. Fox Sports didn't know. Fox Sports College Football, a lot of people didn't know that. So, and so we had a scoop, and everyone's been talking about what's going to happen with the SEC and their scheduling model. Okay, by the way, many of us in the male species have been a fan over the course of our lives of a model, of the model. The scheduling model is the least attractive model.
Heidi Klum, my favorite model.
That has ever existed in mankind. We were watching her last night, Diesel. We were looking for a family show. We settled on America's Got Talent, something we thought Jackson might be interested in. He wasn't. It was a big fail. But Heidi Klum is on that show along with Sofia Vergara.
So you just like Vapid Entertainment.
Diesel, what family show?
I thought you were going to ask me what vapid means.
I don't know that either, Diesel. I don't is it
pointless, mindless, stupid, drivel.
I would have gotten that right on multiple choice. But I will say this, man, like you get to be a parent, Diesel. It is hard, man. You'll see. It is hard to find things that everyone in the family can watch. Just wait till you got a 3-year-old and it's like the 3-year-old wants to watch the next generation's version of Barney, and you want to watch the next iteration of Breaking Bad, and I don't know what Ashley's interested in. It is hard. So you end up like last week we watched Ratatouille, right? You have Ratatouille nights, Jurassic Park nights because he likes dinosaur, and I'm like, America's Got Talent seems halfway decent. You need to find you a VHS player and find classic Disney on VHS. You know why? Because every time they put out a new version of it or a new generation of it, they change it a little bit. Disney is constantly editing their features. Even we're talking like the late 80s and early 90s with like the classic decade of Disney animation. They go back and they change little bits here and there every single time they re-release it. You got to find the old VHS. Well, I'll tell you what, Diesel, like who the hell is saying to themselves, you know what we need? Another Little Mermaid. Who's saying that?
No one.
Literally no one.
They took this bright, colorful, beautiful animated cartoon from our childhoods, and they made it dark, and they made it like all the colors are muted and flat. It just looks bad, and they made it over an hour longer.
And, the big selling point on this is that there's an African-American Little Mermaid, and it's my distaste for the new movie has nothing to do with that. It's just not needed. Diesel, you're great with the vocabulary today. What is it ambiguous? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Ambivalent.
It's
where you just don't care?
Unnecessary.
Doesn't matter to you?
It's wasteful. It's too much. And it's
superfluous.
It's excess. Yeah, it's in excess. It's superfluous. Very good. Very, very good. I don't need it. Who needs it? Who's sitting there asking, you know what I really need? How about some freaking new ideas? How about that? Try that once in a while.
By the way, I want to tell you that I was stuck behind some jackwagon on Wade Hampton Boulevard today. Worst driver I've been behind in a while. Had a Florida Gators tag on the back of their car.
Diesel, not surprised. Listen, I'm not surprised. All right.
They had one of those vanity plates that had the logo on it. I tried to get one of those when I first moved here. I wanted one, South Carolina plate with the App State logo on it. and they said you couldn't get it for out-of-state teams at the time. They've changed that law now. Now you can. You still have to pay extra for it every year, but I haven't gone back and asked for it.
Diesel, if you ever drive to Florida, the second you cross over the state line, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You will say, what just happened? You crossed over the state line into Florida, and now you got Florida man all around you.
Yeah.
All around you. I'm not surprised about that by the least, but I am surprised, my friends, that when it comes to the scheduling model of the SEC, that these multimillionaires cannot come to an agreement on what they want to do. Do we want an 8-game conference schedule? Do we want a 9-game conference schedule? Well, Kirby Smart says it's the most overrated conversation in the world. He doesn't like it. Eli Drinkwitz says, I'm a history teacher by trade. And every time I come to one of these meetings, I'm blown away that the 13 colonies actually formed a union, but we can't agree on an 8 or 9 game schedule. All right, that's a good Eli Drinkwitz line. Either way, punting divisions, ESPN.com.
He's always been a snarky little SOB.
Yeah, one big problem for the SEC, infrequent meetings between some of the league members. The most glaring example, A&M joined the league in 2012, has played Georgia one time since 2012, and they have not hosted Georgia at College Station in the 11 years that they have been in the league, right? So we've discussed this. We've kicked this around. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to have a one permanent rival every single year? Are you going to have 3 permanent opponents every single year and everyone else is going to rotate, right? Jimbo Fisher wants the permanent opponent of the Aggies to be Texas, but that means that Texas doesn't get to play Oklahoma every year. So how's it going to work, right? So what are you going to do?
Somebody needs to tell A&M that Texas is just not that into you.
That's right. Brian Kelly does not. That's a movie that you could watch with a 3-year-old, Diesel, 4-year-old. He's just not that into you. There you go. Brian Kelly says, I want to play Alabama every year. The only way to do that is if they have a 9-game conference schedule. So you have Eli Drinkwitz, who is one of the only coaches, the only coach in the SEC that is taking a stand for the 9-game conference schedule when Texas and Oklahoma join the league. Then you have a pansy alert, ladies and gentlemen, a pansy alert. Listen to this. Mark Stoops of Kentucky is the most vocal detractor of moving to 9 conference games, which you raise an eyebrow at. Why? What's his beef? My mind immediately goes to one thing that I'm aware of, and I want to bring you guys into this as well. Here is what Mark Stoops is saying. He says he noted that the school's annual in-state rivalry with Louisville of the ACC means the Wildcats are already locked into at least 9 games against Power 5 opponents. So what? Have 10. Play 9 SEC games and play Louisville. So that is his beef. Nick Saban says, look, I've wanted to play. I think we should play all Power 5 opponents. But if no one else is going to do that, we've got home and homes with Wisconsin, Florida State, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. And we're going to have to unwind that, were the words that Saban said. Why? Because we're not going to play 9 SEC games and then Ohio State, Notre Dame on top of it. This is the part of it, Diesel, that really pisses me off, really stains my hands. Mark Stoops doesn't want to go to 9 because they already have Louisville. We already have a 9th Power 5 opponent. This was
more like 8.5 Power 5s.
Right, exactly.
Honestly.
Right. This was Kentucky's non-conference schedule last year. Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, and Louisville. This is Kentucky's non-conference schedule this year. Miami of Ohio.
I think the state of their schedule is balls.
Right. Miami of Ohio, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, and Louisville. Diesel, we're about to enter our ACC and SEC team preview series months. We do it every single year. We bring on an expert from a school. Last year, we had Nick Roush on, and I said, man, why don't you guys play anybody? And he goes, I'll totally disagree with you on that. He goes, there's no reason to do that. You know, you're trying to build a program at Kentucky. You go 4-4 in the SEC. You win your 4 non-conference games. You're 8-4. It gives the impression that you have a good year. Hasn't Kentucky, shouldn't they be graduating past the point of just trying to be bowl eligible now? It's pathetic.
Yeah, I'm fine with Power Fives wanting to play an all FBS schedule. I think Power Fives should drop the FCS off of their regular season schedules. We've talked about it many times on this show for years. The idea that it's time to drop the FCS schools off of your regular season schedule, play them in spring games, make it a thing. It'd be great. It'd be the right time for Kentucky to play Eastern Kentucky. It would be the right time for Louisville to play Eastern Kentucky. It would be the right time for Clemson to play Furman or South Carolina State or Charleston Southern or whoever. Just get those FCS games off of your regular season schedule. And hey, if that means that just based on supply and demand, the Group of Five schools only play other Group of Fives and Power Fives just because there's no schedule opportunities available to play FCS, I'm fine with that too. I'm fine. I hate this. Well, they play, you know, only one of your FCS wins counts towards bowl eligibility, but with schedules being so volatile, sometimes you have to play 2, and that puts an extra, it puts an extra hurdle on your schedule that you have to win every game now. So I'm fine with an all FBS schedule if you're a Power Five.
I'm going to tell you guys exactly how this goes down. Okay? I'm going to tell you exactly how it goes down. Florida has the toughest schedule in the country this year in which to win 6 games. Okay? That comes from Kelly Ford. South Carolina is number 2, most difficult schedule to win 6 games. Why is Florida the most difficult schedule? Well, keep in mind, this has nothing to do with Florida's team.
Relax. South Carolina fans are going to scream at you and say, no. Talking heads say we have the hardest schedule.
Well, in terms of getting to bowl eligibility, Florida's got the hardest schedule in the country, according to Kelly Ford. South Carolina's number 2. Why does Florida have the hardest schedule? It has nothing to do with the talent on that team or the lack thereof. Florida's going to have a down year. It has everything to do with the following, okay? When you are a really good program, people nitpick you. And everyone said for the longest time, it has been X number of years since Florida left the state to play a non-conference opponent. Well, the Gators got tired of hearing that, so they made a mistake. They scheduled Utah, home and home with Utah. Why is it a mistake? Because you already play Florida State every single year, right? You already play an SEC schedule every single year. Does it make sense to anybody that you got to play Georgia, LSU, Florida State, and Utah in the same year? So Florida got tired of hearing the knock that they never went out of state to play a non-conference opponent, and they bit the bullet and they scheduled Utah. Kentucky, if Kentucky ever gets really good, and remember Josh Pate told us a year ago that Kentucky football has hit its ceiling. If they ever get really good, they're going to hit the same problem, because when you become really good, people put you under the microscope, and Kentucky's not good enough to be under the microscope right now. The level of vitriol they're getting for scheduling the last 2 years, Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, Miami of Ohio, Youngstown State, and Northern Illinois, has not risen to the level that they're going to change anything about it. So Mark Stoops wants his program to continue to be 7, 8, 9 wins a year. The only way to do that is to have 4 cream puffs in your non-conference schedule, because they don't recruit at that level. If Mark Stoops can say at the end of the year, we won 8 games at Kentucky, we had a good year, that's all that apparently matters to him. How can you explain that Eli Drinkwitz wants 9 games at Missouri, 9 SEC games at Missouri, yet Mark Stoops doesn't want 9 games at Kentucky? Kentucky's better than Missouri, right? Generally speaking.
Yeah.
They're a better program than Missouri, but Eli Drinkwitz has balls. Okay? Balls, I tell you. This year, let's see here. On the non-conference slate, Missouri has Kansas State, who's going to be a top 10 or 15 team, and Memphis. Last year, they had Kansas State and Wake Forest. They're not necessarily playing world beaters, but they got a really good opponent, and they got another Power 5 opponent. And let's just say that Kentucky's non-conference schedule is sponsored by Little Debbie. What do I think should happen? What should become of the 8 or 9 game conference schedule? Folks, like if you have one permanent opponent and everyone else rotates, I'm okay with that. What I would strongly prefer is for everything to rotate. Okay? That to play everyone plays every team an even number of times or as close to it as possible, because somebody always gets screwed. Whoever plays Georgia every year is getting screwed. Whoever plays Alabama every year is getting screwed. And it's just not fair. And when we went through the different models of, okay, here are the 3 permanent opponents, my school, Florida, was getting screwed in it. It was like Florida had Georgia and Tennessee on there every year. And South Carolina got Vanderbilt and like Auburn and somebody else. You know, it's like, what? How is this equitable? How is this fair? Make it make sense.